Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the PTB, the new survivor named Kimura. Oh, I'm bad at pronouncing names. I do apologize. Anyway, she looks fantastic. I can 100. Oh, mate, she looks like Feng Min, but I mean Feng's great. Feng's great. I'm not saying she's not great. She's just looking like Feng Min likes motorbikes. Alright, so let's have a look here. We got Lucky Break. You've had your share of scratches and bruises, but luck is always on your side. Lucky Break activates anytime you are injured. You won't leave traces of blood for 3 minutes. It's permanently deactivated. Okay, it only happens once per trial. Alright, so basically, killer hits you. Now you leave no blood. So if you're going to be running Lucky Break, you're going to be stacking it with Iron Will. If you're unaware of what Iron Will does, Iron Will makes it your cries of pain are now silent. You could also put it with Calm Spirits, so you don't make a sound on the initial impact, but I probably wouldn't recommend that. That's not a bad perk. That's really, really not. It's like No Mither. The strongest thing about No Mither is the fact that you have no blood permanently the entire trial. This is pretty good. It only lasts 3 minutes, and if we're going to cut that down to simple math, it takes 80 seconds to do a generator. If the killer hits you, you might be able to lose him if you're on a map like Lyra's Institute. A lot of walls, the game, a lot of things to body block the killer. Got to be mindful of scratches. Still, though, very easy to track on a map that doesn't have, like, a lot of grass. Or any grass at all. That being said, this would not be incorporated into my build. It's awesome. It looks like an absolute stellar perk, but I cannot get on board and say I want to sacrifice a spot for this. Now, Balanced Landing was meant to be getting a change real soon where it only applies the drop effect, but it's 100% stagger recovery time rather than 75%, and then the permanent effect of recovering from stagger, 75%, isn't activated anymore unless you're activating your exhaustion perk. So that is a huge nerf to Balanced Landing, and if that nerf does go through, I'm going to have to replace Balanced Landing with something, so my build will by default be Adrenaline, Dead Hard, Borrowed Time, and Iron Will, but I'm substituting Borrowed Time out based on if I'm in a Swift or not, with hopefully a new perk we're about to see today. Any means necessary. You stand up for yourself, that's brilliant. Using whatever you can get your... Yep, great. Press and hold the activate button for 3 seconds while standing beside a dropped pallet to reset its position. How the fuck is that green? What? As if survivors don't have enough. I know I literally just said I want to replace a perk. I'm a killer main. I'll be a killer main at heart. That is too much. What next? They can build pallets? Like, oh fuck. Okay, well that... Okay, how do you counter this perk as killer? You just break pallets. It's that simple. Oh, I don't like that. That is too strong. That is too strong. So you could just break the pallet as a killer, but if you're going to try and bloodlust at an unsafe pallet, the guy can stand at the pallet, bait out this perk, and then you will probably break it or try and go for the short wall, but you won't have lust by that time. It's not bad. It's really, really powerful, as opposed to this other one, but I think that's going to be devastating for people that bloodlust. Very, very devastating. You shouldn't be trying to bloodlust. You should be eating the map, especially if it's the center of the board. The only time you should be bloodlusting is if it's on the skirt. That being said, 2 people in chase will be able to hurt you with this. Okay, not a bad perk. Let's have a look at the next one. Breakout. You kick into high gear when somebody's in trouble, inspiring them to overcome any obstacle. When within 6 meters of a carried survivor, you gain haste status, movement plus 7%. And they wiggle 20% quicker. Great, so survivors can body block and sandbag you much easier because you move at 108% while carrying a survivor. That's with with agitation. Without agitation, you move at 94, 96%. So the survivor moves at 107%. So he's faster than you by 7%, and he has haste, and he makes the guy wiggle 20% quicker. You know, this is going to be really good for the hillbilly. I know that sounds so weird. My biggest concern is this is an aura perk. aura perks stack bar things like Prove Thyself. If we look at things like open-handed stacks on top of open-handed, which stacks on top of open-handed. If Breakout stacks on top of Breakout, stacks on top of Breakout, 60% faster wiggle. I'm going to drop the guy straight away off my shoulder and chainsaw somebody down. Okay, so this being said, this is the PTB. This is all subject to being changed or nerfed or reworked. I won't run this perk. Do you know why I won't run this perk? Because this requires me to be up in front of the hook or right in front of my teammate who's getting hook saved. You know, this is a perk you run if you're going to be bringing a flashlight and you're going to be going for flashlight saves. I want to do gens. I want to loop the killer, and I want to get out of the trial. That's generally how I play things. I don't want to run around, hide. I don't want to try and, hide, get a hook saved. That's not what I want to do. I want to do the objective and run from the killer. That's the two funnest things for me to do. Try and land as many skill checks in a row as I can and run from the killer and try and preserve as many pallets as I can on the board. And this is sure as shit gonna help. Okay, so all in all, if I'm gonna tell you the truth, out of her 3 perks, this is by far the best. Don't get me wrong, a killer can just break the pallet in front of the survivor, but you can bait this out a little bit. If you pallet stun the killer and you start running away straight away, the killer might go for a bloodlust and you might have time to be able to reset for it. It's good. What I want to know though is it says you stand up for your, you hold the activate button, which is dead hard. You hold dead hard for 3 seconds while not moving. Does your character do an animation? Does she just stand there and then after 3 seconds pull the pallet up like you would slam it, or does she do an animation lifting it up? If she does an animation lifting it up, that'll help the killer a lot. But at the same time, should be able to bait that. So the killer's running over to you and you go to lift the pallet up and you just drop it down because the killer will lunge and hit the pallet. Won't be able to do anything with it. So if she has an animation with it, that's not bad for the killer. But at the same time, that's a really strong perk. I'd have a lot of fun using that. Do I think it's going to be part of my endgame build? No. When I first saw that perk, I'm just like, I need to test it out. I need to go through and experience it firsthand and be able to tell you what I think. All in all, new survivor, this is what I'm thinking. Lucky Break is cute if you know what map you're going to, a map where they can't really track you too well. In fact, you want to know something's good on every map, but you got to be mindful of your scratches. Any means necessary, recycling pallets if you could force a killer not to break the pallet, it can be pretty good, especially killers that don't run brutal or enduring. It's going to be pretty devastating. You'll notice a lot more pallet breaking from killers now. Very rarely will I go for a bloodlust hit. If I do go for a bloodlust hit, I'll be playing it on a killer like Ghostface, where I can hide my stain straight away. Breakout, look, it seems brilliant, don't get me wrong, but I don't like it. I honest to God don't like it. When you're within 6 meters, okay, so to give you a quick understanding of 6 meters, if we have another aura reading perk like Prove Thyself, if I can quickly find it, that's leader. Prove Thyself is 10 meters. No, it's not, it's 4 meters, fuck. You know how small Prove Thyself is when you're working on a Jenny? You literally can't look away from the Jenny and be out of Prove Thyself range. It's very, very small range. That being said, I think it's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be amazing. I think you're going to see it ran on a lot of people with flashlights, maybe a couple of people with DS, something along those lines, yeah? The people that get in your face, go for the flashlight, try and bait you out and swinging at them while they're doing stupid little spins. When they get caught on something and lose momentum, then you M1 them. The issue here is allowing somebody to wiggle 20% quicker. It's pretty scary as a killer, but at the same time, for the vast majority of maps, you should be able to hook anyone before they get to about halfway wiggle. It's when you're trying to hook somebody where somebody's been killed or the hook's been severed that you might have an actual bit of an issue with Breakout. I'm glad it only works if a teammate is around. If this worked for you while you were on the killer's shoulder, you wiggled 20% quicker, that would be devastating. But it doesn't. A teammate has to be around. It's going to require a lot of altruism, and that's good for the killer. So you know how people whinge that generators are done too quick? This is going to help to a degree that people using this perk won't be working on generators, so they'll be wasting the time coming in for it. Do keep in mind the survivor's moving at 107% movement speed, and if he has hope, that'll stack with hope as well. So the guy's going to be like 114. It's going to be faster than... It's going to be the movement speed of the frickin' trapper running around. But you can maybe make it work. Remember, a killer can always run things like Agitation, Mad Grit, Iron Grasp. There's counter perks to it. Much like Knockout, the counter to Knockout is obviously Unbreakable, No Mither. There'll always be a counter or a yin to a yang, whichever way you want to look at it. all in all, that's the Survivor, guys. I hope you like the perks. I hope she's fun. I look forward to testing her out and getting back to you guys. Do keep in mind it's a PTB, so things are subject to change. And I'm going to take a look over at the Killer side, guys. So if you're watching over on YouTube, feel free to like, subscribe, come to the live stream. My name is Fungoose. I'm an educational DVD killer main with over 7,000 hours in the game, and I'll walk you through everything you guys want to learn. Take care. We'll see you soon.